Welcome to Phil's Gang YouTube videos. All right, we've been getting our fourth quarter earnings. We're looking forward now to the earnings for 2015, and we're getting all the cheerleading, and we're not getting the truth. Now, our fourth quarter earnings of the S&P 500 came in at 4.7%. However, if you take away Apple, they dropped to 2.6%, which means that Apple makes up most of the earnings. Also, the cheerleaders like Maria Bartiromo, they have been failing to tell us that the consumer spending has been the weakest since 2009. They don't mention that. And if consumers are not spending, then how can it be that profits are increasing? Corporate profits or their earnings per share, which boosts their stock price. After all, they've had all the heavy cost cutting, which has mostly been jobs, since 2008 to 2011. Those are behind them. So it's not more cost cutting. Yet there isn't any boost in sales or consumption. And we saw that with our GDP dropping from 3% down to 2.6%. So the idea that we have this economy that is doing very well and that we've been digging ourselves out of this economy just makes no sense. But what's even more disturbing is where President Obama keeps telling us that he's all upset about the income inequality, that the 10 percentile are getting more wealthy, and he's upset over that.
And that is a dangerous and growing inequality that has jeopardized middle-class America's basic bargain, that if you work hard, you have a chance to get ahead.
So his solution is, first, he's blaming capitalism. And his solution is socialism. This is what he's preaching. Fairness. So whose fault is it? He's saying it's capitalism when it's his fault. All his fault. His lie that you could keep your insurance, your health insurance, if you're a doctor, if you liked it. This is just another lie about QE. Remember, it's his policy, QE. And he and Bernanke, now Yellen, said it's for the purpose of creating jobs and helping in the economic recovery. Well, that's not true. The only purpose for QE1, QE2, the twist, and QE3 was to inject $3 trillion directly into the stock market to rally stocks higher artificially without having sales or increased consumption. And you can see that. Our GDP, which is sales, consumption, is dropping, not going up. And we now know, with consumer spending the weakest since 2009, that $3 trillion was never intended to reach the economy or Main Street. It was intended to reach all along a small segment of our population, the richest 10%, who control 80% of the stocks, to increase their wealth by 275% a year, each one of them, for each year for 6 years, so that Obama could tax them and pay for all his welfare programs, like the ones he proposed at the State of the Union address. Bottom line, Obama's economic policies created one of the greatest inequalities of our time. In our country today, the inequality is 4 times larger than the day he took office. But he's saying that's capitalism. No, it's not. It's him. He goes around to all the college campuses right after the State of the Union, especially liberal strongholds, to take parking space in their heads. That, again, is capitalism that is causing the inequality. And to fix this great danger, we have to transform from capitalism. We got to come out of capitalism into socialism, or if need be, even communism, if it doesn't work, to make sure everyone is treated fairly. Now, that is a bigger lie than his you can keep your health care and your doctor if you like them. It borders on treason. He knows that it's not capitalism that's causing income inequality. It's him with his economic policies. But just like he depended on Obamacare, where he said, and his architect said, we had to depend on the American people being stupid. Well, he's depending on the American people to be stupid again and not look into it. And they just believe, oh, he must be right. Maybe that's why we need socialism. Now, what he has done, and why I say it borders on treason, is because the inequality that he is creating is from crony capitalism. Not only from the stock market, where he pumps in $3 trillion to move stocks up and tells us the $3 trillion was going to create jobs and it was going to go into the economy, which it never was intended, it never went to the economy. But worse, his crony capitalism. In return for millions in campaign contributions from the richest 10 percentile, the big money bundlers, he would give out ambassadorships or no-bid military contracts. But the big one was stimulus money to his big money bundlers. Now, all presidents do the same thing, but this is the only president who's trying to transform us from a capitalist society to a socialist society, even a communist society if he need be, in blaming capitalism on income inequality. No other president has done this, especially when you look at the great wealth that's been created in the stock market artificially. 85% of that wealth has gone to the 10 percentile, where under Clinton it was 65%. Under Bush it was 45%. So what he has done, he's taken all the stimulus money, besides all that money he put in the stock market to move stocks up, he took stimulus money, gave it to George Kaiser, Solandra, Pat Stryker, Leon Musk, Sergey Brin, his buddies Warren Buffett, Stephen Cohen, Carl Icahn, GE, Jeff Immelt, on and on and on. So he gives his bundlers all this stimulus money to go out and create this tremendous wealth for them, that where the wealth gap under him has increased 4 times what it was that he took office. But yet he keeps telling us that it's capitalism that's the problem and why we need socialism. So the next time you hear Obama say how income inequality has jeopardized the middle class to get ahead, the next time you hear that, just remember, it's not true. And when he blames it on capitalism, it's not true. He should be blaming it on himself. If you take a look at his track record, it's not too good, is it? Remember, the cornerstone of his administration is lying. And this is probably one of the biggest lies next to the healthcare lie he's told. We need capitalism. What we need is to purge these banks. We need to take the banks and break them down and break them up and redistribute their assets to smaller banks. We need to take these banksters and all his cronies and put them in jail, is what we should do. That's what we need. This economy will not grow. And remember, we grow by consuming. We're going to stay just the way we are at about a 2% growth for the next 2 years, because he's going to have to continue to do what he's doing, to blame capitalism, to continue with more QE, because remember, we haven't had another QE since 2012. And this is not a sustainable growth rate we have right now, or stock market rally. It's not sustainable, especially when we don't have earnings. So he's going to have to do QE4. So I think we're going to get a nice pullback in the market, and then we're going to have a great opportunity to go in and start buying again. So that's it. So again, when you hear about this income inequality and how he's all upset and he's blaming it on capitalism, please remember, it has nothing to do with capitalism. It has to do all with his economic policies to make the rich richer. And he's been lying to us just like he did with his health care. See you on the charts.